looking at the Holga pinhole camera. You will have seen these maybe on a very well-known camera website that specialises in plastic cameras and cameras like the Diana, which have become a bit of a cult, and they sell them for quite I think they're not a cheap camera for a plastic camera. And I have talked about the Holga before. The Holga started as a Chinese 120 camera, which was incredibly popular and became a real cult for its interesting use and its plastic lens. And now you can get a pinhole version of this, and there's two pinhole cameras versions, and this is the wide angle one. I got this from Photographica. I had looked at them before and I had slightly thought, oh, they're rather expensive cameras, but for what they are, they're priced around £50–60. I got this a little bit cheaper, and it came with the box and the instructions and everything else on the strap. So let's have a look at how it works. First of all, on the back, we've got these clips to undo the back. And when we have undone them, the back will come off. And we've got two choices of how wide we want the photo. We can have very wide or less wide. Okay, now with very wide we will only get 6 exposures. With the less wide we'll get 8 exposures, but I wanted to try the ultimate, so I went for the wide here. Take up spool here, new film will go in here, and then we put the back on. Now, I have found with the Holga that the clips are a real weakness with this camera, and I have used tape as well. Now, if you are using the 6, you put it the arrow to the 12. If you're going to use the less wide and get 8, you put it by the 16. Why they couldn't make it 6 and 8, I don't know, but we've got 12 and 16 here. We have some exposure guys here. So, as I said, I put it on 6, so I'll put it on 12 here. We've got no viewfinder, but we do have an indication here. So we look here and we line up here. We've got a level which might help. And to expose the photographs, we have to take the lens cap off, and then we have almost like a lever here. Now, I didn't like this design because it could wobble on the tripod, but you could use a cable release. You could use a cable release and lock it there. So yesterday it was very fine, and they said about 7 to 9 seconds. Even though it was evening, it was a very, very bright evening, so I did it on 9 seconds. And you take the photograph, as I said, lens cap off, press the lever here, count or use your watch, release, lens cap back on, then you wind to the next odd number. And that is basically it. You must remember it's the odd number. As I said, the camera is very, very much of a plastic camera. I was a bit worried I was going to get quite a lot of lens shake because I didn't feel the tripod was as secure as I wanted, and I hadn't taken a cable release. Cable release would have been a really good idea. But the proof of the pudding is, does it produce any interesting results? Well, let's see. Getting before the results, the great thing about using this as a pinhole camera is you just put normal film in, normal 120 film. So, but it is probably preferable to develop it yourself because you are going to get a slightly unconventional film size when it comes back on the aperture size. But let's see what happened when I actually developed the film. So this is the camera in the field, so to speak. speak, literally actually in the field, and you can see it's on a tripod, and this is the view. It's rather windy and I was a bit worried, but it was okay. I think there's a tiny bit of camera blur here, but it's workable. You can tell it's an image. For the second image, I moved to this old sluice gate, and it's called The 10 Hatches and was in a Thomas Hardy novel. And actually this one, again, the sluice gates disappear a little bit, but it is an interesting image, and I quite like the way the grass has moved as I've taken the photograph. This is a very right-angled landscape, and actually it gets a bit, the outline gets a bit lost, however, and actually you can see here the barbed wire and the fence actually works better than the houses and trees in the distance, but still it's an interesting image, I think. And there's a long shadow here, and again, not the most interesting landscape. This is where the Dorchester show is yearly, but the actual result is absolutely fine, I think. I was surprised with how well this pinhole camera actually works, and it's really nice that you can use film. This was the last image I took. It would be quite interesting to print directly as cyanotypes. I've enjoyed using this camera and will actually use it again. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.